Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 7th, 2022 at approximately 1:08 p.m. PST. It really is an interesting world we live in right now. And I've run into into a fascinating snag on my part. The reality is I've never been able to track time very well. But we had, and myself included, we all have to make a choice. Are we going to live in fear? Are we going to live in what may go right or may go wrong? Okay, and there is no real going right if you're afraid of it, usually. Many people I've run into are absolutely terrified of being happy. And the evolution of what's happened over the last little while here, apparently I'm probably one of them. Okay. When we take a look at my past, and this is why what's coming up is why I see myself as not being perfect. Okay, I returned to this world for one primary reason. That is to remind virtually everyone in existence that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everyone. But it does require your assistance, because one person is not going to change the path that civilization is on. Okay, now the tools I offer. Okay, I call myself a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use. And the philosophies of life that I talk about are the same philosophies that I personally live by that have guided me from a real complicated past where I was living on the edge of living, where I was one paycheck away from living on the street, to now when I've got 3 months sitting in backlog where if I don't work a day, I end up moving. I end up moving forward. What did I do with my... There it is. Okay. I wanted this because this has something in it that I was working on today. Okay. Now, I long ago discovered I could not track time. Turns out I had a little bit of complication yesterday that I thought was just a carryover from last week or maybe the week before. The reality of it is that it was actually a few months back that it happened. So what I ended up doing this morning, I've talked about this issue of lists and what have you. You can live in fear of where your life is going, or we can live in fear of where society is heading. But let me ask you this. Okay, one of the first questions you have to ask before you can move anywhere in life is, are you content with the way your life is going? Now, the reality is, I went out yesterday. I was aiming at getting things changed, and here's the situation. Okay, obviously, I got a haircut. Okay, I am aiming very, very much at the idea of changing the way that my physical appearance looks as compared to the way society is. Now, with this in mind, I went out, got a haircut. As it turns out, in my eyes, it's actually a little shorter than it should have been. I should have had it left a little longer. Or they should have. I told them I needed it to still lay down. Well, it doesn't. Give me a couple of weeks, it'll come back to that. But you can live in fear, and that's where you have to look at it. But it's not fear of the outside world that we've been taught. It's fear of your own belief structure. Okay, you've been taught to fear individuality, and yet to fear the government, to fear God, to fear the educational system, you name it, you've been taught to fear it. Okay, the first thing we are taught as we're growing up is do as you're told or you'll be punished. As we get a little older, do as you're told or God will punish you. Well, you can live that way if you choose. What I've found is if you live in fear, you're putting out the energy of fear. You're putting out the energy of collapse. Now, society right now is going down a real black path. Okay, so what we have to do to start with, or at least the path I've been shown, is first and foremost, absolutely believe in a higher power. Call it what you will. Believe in your own in your own ability to control your own destiny. Again, believe what you will. I'm not saying follow what I believe in. I'm saying take a look in the mirror and ask yourself if the path you are currently following, if you are happy with that, that's great. But if you're not, it may well be time to change the direction you're going in. Okay. Now, I've had Inner Voice Enterprises has been running since 2007. The thing is, I have played with it realistically because I haven't pushed the issue. I haven't got myself into a formal path. Okay, so today when I went out, and again, I talk about these things called lists. Well, in this case, I went out and set up a schedule whereby I can actually make things happen. And it boils down to deciding, am I content with my business the way it is with my prosperity level? The answer is no, I'm not. Okay, but to that end, and this is going to sound backwards, everybody else is raising prices. They're going, I need a higher wage in order to live. What people are overlooking is if you push the wage higher, the cost of goods sold, the cost of what you're striving to buy is also going to be higher. Okay, now with that in mind, up until the beginning of May, I was personally charging $180 an hour for a consulting fee. Okay, whether I was talking personal, business, alien interaction, it didn't matter. Metaphysical, you name it, I just charged a flat 180. But as of the 1st of May, I got looking at this all beforehand, but as of the 1st of May, I took that 180 and sheared it off to 90. Okay, now, does that mean I all of a sudden make less? In all fairness, it may. I don't know, but I do know this. I feel better going, okay, prices are going up. Everybody's having trouble affording things. It's time to do something about it. Now, one business doing this is not going to have the impact. Okay, but I figured I could make $180 off of one person, or I can cut the price down to 90. I mean, bear in mind, I do have 49 years experience in this field. Okay, 36 in the field professionally, as in generating some sort of an income. Okay, so do I feel that I am worth more than just $20 an hour? Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, $20 an hour is not a bad price. But I'm not here to tell you whether what you're doing is right or wrong. What I'm here to tell you is if you're not content with the way your life is going or with the way you're seeing society, it's time to start doing something about it. Now, I've been watching the internet. I've been watching the way people have been posting things. Okay, and when I look at it, it's really imperative from my perspective that you take a look at the world and ask yourself one little detail. From your standpoint, are you content with your current path? Okay. Now, from that standpoint, if you are content, this is great. From my standpoint, if you're not content, this is the thing to look at. You don't have to know where your life is going. But what you do have to pay attention to, or would be wise to pay attention to, is when you're looking at what's being posted. If you're being told, this is what is out there. Take a look at how this embarrassed somebody. Ask yourself, are you posting as much as in keeping a balance between what is negative and what is positive, or are you simply regurgitating a bunch of negative stuff? Okay. I mean, I was looking at a post the other day. I mean, quite frankly, and I'm going to put my foot in it. Okay. I figure I might just as well, because being subtle has not worked. Trying to tell people you've got to start treating people more effectively. Now, there's a gentleman, and I'm not going to bother going and looking up names. Okay. Some of you, if you want to look it up, that's fine. Okay. But I saw this post, and it was a religious-based post. Okay. Now, you could talk about, when you're talking religion, you can either focus on the positive side of it or the negative. You can focus on something like, and I do mean, if you're focusing on religion, I don't care which religion. I'm going to use the term God because, frankly, there's a lot of different things he's been called. Some of them play repeatable and play company. We've got that in common. But when you're striving to talk about religion of any form, you can either talk about the positive benefits of it, that you can talk about the brotherhood that it brings about. You can talk about the guidance to acceptance. You can talk about the idea of how nature is such a phenomenal building block, how every things are built together, how it makes people feel better. Or you can talk about the negative. You can talk about fear. You can post things about criminality, about derogatory situations. You can talk about the negative side. You've got that choice. Religion, as with life, has both sides. Okay, now this does not mean the negative should not be talked about, but it does mean that it should be at least kept in balance. Nature runs on a three-way balance: positive, negative, and everything in the middle. Okay, the fact that plants breathe, the fact that the planet breathes, that people breathe, that animals breathe, these are all commonalities. This is a neutral thing. Okay, the fact that animals get killed, that people get killed, these are, in most people's eyes, negative things, but there is a bonus to them, because in that cycle of life and death, there is a balance point. Okay, but what I'm seeing posted consistently, and what brought it to mind is this one person. Okay, this one post that just blatantly stands out. This individual seems to be coming across from a religious standpoint, and instead of talking about God's love for people, he turns around and says, Satan's been looking for you. The idea being, let's instill fear in people and tell them to be afraid of what's coming. Okay, what people forget is the fact that Satan, yeah, he may well have been an evil individual the way it's painted, but the one thing they've always held is that Satan never lied. Okay, he will twist the truth all over the place. He will leave loopholes. Absolutely, but he never blatantly lies. Can you say the same about you? Especially if you're standing in front of a crowd of people. Can you tell people, I don't lie? Okay, I will tell you wholeheartedly, I will not lie to you to make you feel better. Will I avoid an answer? Absolutely. But avoidance, or more to the point, omission is not a lie. Okay, a lie means you're deliberately saying something that you know is wrong, and you're saying it to either protect yourself, someone else, or redirect the information, whatever. Conceal something. Okay, here's why I say there is not a soul in existence that does not omit. Okay, if you ask me what I'm doing right now, and I were to say, I'm talking about deception, I'm talking about the evil side of life. Okay, now, if that's where I leave it, am I being honest? Certainly. But what I did not tell you, what I omitted, is I'm sitting here breathing. I'm sitting here thinking about the 31 books I'm in the process of writing. I'm sitting here digesting the breakfast that the brunch I just had. I'm looking at 4 different monitors. These are all things I'm not telling you when I say I'm talking about the evil side of things. Okay, and the misdirection. Now, the one thing that has always been attributed to Satan is that he does not lie. Now, like I said, can you say the same about you? If you cannot, then in some ways, does this not make Satan more honorable than you are? Yeah, I know that's going to piss off, pardon my French, that is going to tick off a staggering number of people. Okay, to suggest that there is a good bone in Satan's body. Am I a Satan worshiper? Heck, I don't worship anybody. The gods were here long before I was, and therefore they don't require my worship. Okay, am I going to donate to a church, or even for that matter to a registered charity? Flat out, no. And here's why. Okay, I take a look at the churches, I take a look at the registered charities. Most of the money, and the best charity, and I don't recall what the name of it was, but the best percentage I ever heard from a registered charity was that 30% of on the dollar went to the actual charity. The rest went to the people running it. It went to the administration costs. When I go to help somebody, I take 100% of what I'm helping them with and give it to them, regardless of whether it's money or, buying them groceries, buying them a restaurant meal. It doesn't matter. Okay, I simply give 100% of what I'm donating. I don't look for a tax deduction. I don't look for anything in return. This does not make me better than you. This does not make me better than anybody. It simply tells you why I refuse to go to a church and give the church money. Because the reality is the churches don't require it, in my opinion. And the fact that they're claiming to help the ill and help the wounded and help the poor is frankly misleading, because I'm still seeing staggering numbers of people turned away from these people. I'm seeing staggering numbers of people that are not being helped by the charities. This is my opinion. This is why I will not donate. I will help other people. There was a lass outside of a grocery store the other day begging for money. Okay. Now, I talked to her for a few minutes, and what ended up happening is I went in, and all I asked her about the food side of it was, "Are you allergic to anything?" And she looked at me and goes, "No." I said, "Great." I said, "I'll be back." So I walked off. I went in. I bought her a bag of groceries. I brought it out. I gave her 100% of it with no bill, no expectation of anything left. This is the reality of my life. But what I'm seeing, like this gentleman, he's talking in terms of evil. If you're going to a church where they're telling you fear everybody, there is a massive problem in my eyes. Okay. My ex when she literally told me, "I don't want you going to church because you'll call the pastor on his sermon." And looking at it, probably. However, in all fairness, I wouldn't do it in the church, because if I'm going into the church, I'm going in their rules, their guidelines. You do as do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Pastor comes into my house. Absolutely, I did have one do that one day. Okay, but you've got a choice. You can either focus on the negative side of what your life is doing, or you can focus on the positive side. Now, if you're posting on Facebook, on Twitter, on any of the social media, okay, if you're posting on them, absolutely do so. And it is imperative we see what is negative going on. But I am asking you, if you're posting one negative, post at least one positive. Keep it at least balanced. To me, positive, there's a lot of people that will post things like, "Look at this person helping this animal get out of a tight situation," or helping this other person get out of a bad situation. Do not just post who died, who shot who made what stupid law. And rest assured, to me, a stupid law is a law that applies to only a certain group of people. There was somebody the other day, and I was none too impressed. They literally made a post. They wished everybody that did not support the gay and lesbian community. They wished that anybody that did not support that has a miserable day. Now, my response to it was simple. My response to it was simple. I simply looked at it and I simply posted. I said, "So, congratulations. You're behaving like most of the other people out there. This does not make you better than anybody. Quite frankly, it makes you just normal." By the way, normal is not really a compliment anymore. But like I meant, all I said was, "Congratulations, you're behaving like the majority of people." the majority of people, from what I'm seeing, and this is really overstated, okay? I'm a firm believer that 90 to 95% of people out there are decent people. Sad to say, 90 to 95% of what I'm seeing on the internet, on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, which are the only ones I actually go on, the majority of it is probably not that high. It has come down a little. But the majority of things that are being posted is who ripped off who is doing what heinous thing to somebody else. Okay. I mean, there were more people paying attention to the Johnny Depp, and I forget what his ex's name was, but paying attention to that trial than they were paying attention to the people that were actually helping people. Okay. To me, I will pay far more attention to somebody being nice. I mentioned this a while ago, and this is where stupidity is coming to. Okay, and I've talked about this before. Okay, I am all for people having their own way of looking at life and living their life according to their own guidelines. But if you're going to take the stand that you're entitled to your choice, get off your pulpit and quit telling other people they're not allowed their freedom of choice. Bearing in mind, okay, that you still must follow the laws of the land in which you are. In other words, if you desire a job that says you've got to wear a construction hat and safety boots to work, okay, that's the law. That is the guideline for working. You want to work in the construction field, you have to do that. It doesn't matter how much money you have, because I will tell you this: a falling 2x4 is not going to pause for a split second because you got more money in your pocket than I do. And rest assured, you probably do have more money in your pocket than I do. But I've never been driven by money. But when you're looking at the world, when you're focusing on what's going on around you, pay attention to the positive things. That's the things that it would be wise to really, really focus on. If you're going to stand up, if you're going to say that this is being done wrong, follow me because, this is the evil of the world. Make absolutely certain if you're touting the idea of living your life your way. Now, I will not tell you, believe what I believe. I will tell you wholeheartedly, look into it yourself. Do your own research. I will tell you wholeheartedly. Okay, my standpoint, I'm a firm believer if you're sick, okay, and the doctor has the option of helping you, it is wise to go to the doctor. You can call it God's will that I don't get help. Okay. I don't call it God's will that I don't get help. I refuse to go to the doctor because they have yet to be able to actually track what's going on. Okay. I mean, let's face it. You go into the hospital, the color of my skin, you don't walk out. The doctors don't know how to cope with you walking out less than 24 hours later with your skin back to normal color and your body running properly. Okay. Now, the one major drawback that I really haven't been able to cope with, and it caused a major problem for me, one that as soon as I get done this video, I will be solving, or at least I will be bringing to the other person's attention. I do not track time well. Okay, I keep a real constant look at the length of time I'm on the video, because honestly, I can get lost really fast, and I've done so before. But it's absolutely imperative that if you're going to look at the way your world is going, it's time to get down off the high horse saying, I'm better than you because I've got more money than you, or because I've got a white collar around my shirt, around my neck. That makes me closer to God. No, it doesn't. Okay, in my opinion, it really does not. Okay, what it does, it seems to give people, in my eyes, the attitude that because I wear a white collar around my throat, I have a better understanding of what God wants. Well, let me ask you this. If God created everything, He created the positive and the negative, and He gave you the choice to choose which one you were going to focus on. It's up to you. Are you going to focus on the negative and continue to push that issue? Are you going to keep complaining you deserve better pay for doing no work, which is really what it seems to be? I desire a higher paycheck or I'm just not working. I had somebody phone me the other day, and bear in mind, I still work as a consultant. I had somebody phone me, and they literally told me they were having major financial problems. I told them, you've got an offer coming in within the week. Well, the guy turns around and says, I'm not taking the job because I deserve more money per hour. I don't know about you, but from my standpoint, this is just a stupid decision. Because what it means is I'm turning down some money where I'm having troubles to I'm turning down to I'm not getting any money. Okay. And then you've got a bigger problem. So when you're talking about taking a path, look at a path in life. Take a look at the path. Now, for me, I've laid out now, I went out this morning. I don't have a lot of money. I really don't. Okay. But I went out this morning because I can think, I can stay a lot more focused when I'm away from my office. If I'm in my office, I'm set up to be working on 1, 2, 3 books all at the same time. Like literally all at the same time. Okay, plus a couple of others set on the side that I will be going to after them. But I get so caught up doing so many things at once that it creates a problem. Like this fine little detail here. This has been sitting on my counter, or on my desk, and I keep postponing blowing my keyboard out. Nothing but condensed air, compressed air. Okay, but I really do have to get around to doing my keyboard. Okay, but what happens is I get so much going on that I get somewhat overwhelmed. Even this list that I don't even know if I've got my list done up this morning. Nope, not yet. So I will have to, and that's one of the things I'll be doing as soon as I get off here. Get a list together of what I require so I can go through, answer emails, get the postings done that I need to. This video, as soon as it's done, okay, I will be posting it. And it does get posted live. Okay, meaning I check the date and then it goes to view immediately. Okay, with no editing at all. The hiccups, the twists and turns. Okay, I don't use a pseudonym. If you're looking for me, this is the way I am. This does not make me better than anybody. Okay, but I have reached a point where I'm looking at the way people are behaving, going, you people have got to start figuring out that we've got to work together. We've got to start focusing on the positive side of things. Now, I will be back again tomorrow. I'd love to hear your comments in the section, in the comments below. If you've got a question, if you've got a comment you'd like to keep somewhat private, okay, there's a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Drop me a line. I will do my best to get back to you. Okay. There's a whole lot of books that I've written already that are all available and listed below this video. And quite frankly, below every video I do. Or at least I try to get below every one of them. Okay, so I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.